We're now live. We should have just had the button on the whole time, Stephen, because the conversation you and I just had was just something I wish that, like, our closest two friends could just sit and talk and also share what they had to say about that situation. But that's okay. Welcome to today's tea practice. It's a weekend. Happy Saturday to you guys. Sorry again for missing our 1 p.m. and then our 2 p.m. We've been having quite a morning here and quite a journey over the last 2 weeks, me and Stephen have. And we'd like to invite you to sit and talk with us about the challenge coming up for Tea Curious, which is the One Tea Focus Challenge. So one tea focus challenge. So that's happening in June. That's in 2 days. So on Monday, June 1st until the 5th, Friday. So June 1 to June 5, we will be making this challenge happen. It's called the One Tea Focus Challenge. It's going to be happening on Instagram, but also on Discord. We're going to ask you guys, you who are here right now and you who are watching the replay afterwards, to drink just one tea for at least 3 days and no other teas. That's the kicker. And you know, I'm coming at this saying like, oh, it's a big deal. And I think some of you have, you know, shown up and said, oh, I've done it before. Oh, this is really your first time, Ree. Like, I've drunk tea for weeks and weeks before. And I'm shocked because no one's ever tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, Ree, on purpose, drink just one tea for 3 days. Okay, and I've been at it for 11 years, and I've had thousands of teas at this point, but it's only this year that I've stumbled upon this method, and it's taught me a lot, and it's kind of coming to, you know, it's like a combination of so many different things I've learned over the last couple years that are coming together in this concept. So I really invite you to join us for this method. Yeah, so we'll get to that in a little bit. First, let's say our hellos, because that's the most important thing. Welcome to the session today. I see Bon Tea Place, Marker from Steeped Tea, Ronan. It's so late over there. I always say that, but I'm just like, oh my god. Journey with a Cup, Denong Tea. Denong Tea is here today as well in our Gaiwan. Jeremy, bonsoir. Nicholas from Tea Traveler, Joseph, it's nice to see you, Ruben Levendig, Tea Fine Teas, A03 Cope, welcome to today's discussion about the challenge coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and brew a tea that's from Denong Tea. They happen to be on chat. What a coincidence. And I'm brewing this because this method that I was talking about, one tea for 3 days straight. This was kind of introduced to me by our friend Jeffrey McIntosh during the Pour Love Challenge in April. For those of you who've heard about the story, you know, bear with me a little bit, but I think it's important to get the context of where this method is from. We asked him, how does he evaluate pu'er? And his method, after many, many years of just pu'er exploration and sourcing, you know, he has sourced pu'er, not just drank pu'er, but actually selected pu'er from, you know, probably thousands of samples to offer for different businesses. Now he's come to this method where he will drink the same tea for 3 days straight and see what it feels like for his body. In the interview, he says 1 to 2 days, and then we find out that it's 3 days, and then I asked him later, and he'll actually do a week. So I think he was, you know, trying to be just more open about it and make it a little bit easier for us to do. But the concept is, if you're going to buy a tea that you might have for, you know, months or years or even decades, if you all are Tong collectors, you know, you like have the 7 stack, you need to see, or it'd be nice to see, if the tea can sit with you for 3 days straight. So imagine, you know, like you might have a friend that you like hanging out with and they're cool and, you know, they match with your posse and stuff, but what if you were stuck with that asshole in an elevator for 3 days, right? That's the concept. If you think about tea like people, it's a lot easier to make these metaphors work. Like, I know a couple of you in the chat, you know, like, I like you guys so much that I wouldn't really be worried if I was stuck with you in an elevator for 3 days. So thank you for being lovely enough for that to happen. But you know what I mean, right? Why not make sure that the tea that we're trying to invest our time, resources, energy into is the kind of tea that will jive with you naturally over the course of that 3 days, right? Jeffrey, we just finished talking about you, so I'm not going to repeat all the lovely things I said because, you might get too excited. So welcome. Delphine, welcome as well. Joe, welcome as well. Let us know what you guys are drinking. We're going to drink this Jade Leaves, which is, I don't know, ever since we did this experiment about 2.5 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think we started it. I forget. I don't even know. It seems like it's been a while now, but we tried to spin this experiment up maybe like a week and a half ago, just to take Jeffrey's advice into action. So when you hear someone say something, why don't you try it? There's so much amazing information, wisdom, advice that is available to us right now during this period in our tea lives. Man, it's like, imagine the Buddhist monks in Japan. They were like, man, I want to know what the Indian gurus have to say. They have to haul their butts over China and then, hang out and then take another, tea horse road down to India in order to get that information. But we're so lucky now that we can just message Jeffrey or message Delphine or ask TJ, hey, what did you think about this tea and what would you recommend in terms of understanding it better? That's crazy. So I took that advice to heart from Jeffrey and I was like, I don't know, Stephen, let's do it. Let's do exactly what Jeffrey said. And this guy who likes pu'er and has been around the block a little bit. And, I like pu'er, but I'm not an expert. And, I've been drinking tea for a while, but there's just so much to learn, right? And I've never once done this. And I knew we were going to learn something, but we learned a lot. It was really, really awesome. And also bittersweet because not only did I learn so much, but I wish someone had told me sooner. Just like tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, Ree, you're such a, you have so much good tea. You've been places, you've done stuff, but I'd really like for you to please just try drinking this tea for 3 days straight and not drink anything else. And speaking for myself, I'm not going to take this away from anyone. This is very important. It's really important for us to sample as much as possible, right? The flavor library talk about putting the books in like, oh, I know what Milanxiang tastes like, and also Milanxiang roasted, and also Dongding and Dongding clear fragrance, and, Sri Lankan high elevation and Sri Lanka low elevation. But you need to build the library, but also listen to the tea. And when I say you, I'm like, Ree, Jesus Christ. I've spent so much money collecting tea and traveling and then talking to people at tea shops and stuff, but I've never done this, and it taught me a lot. So that's the reason why we made this the challenge for June, is we went into it expecting to learn a lot, and then we got more from it than we thought. And then we backed out after the 3 days of this tea. Can you imagine we're still wanting this tea? Isn't that weird? We have at least 500 teas in that closet right beside us. Okay, a lot. Stuff that I've gotten from Taiwan being there, stuff from dear friends, stuff from samplers and all over the world and trusted vendors, and yet we want to return to this tea. Why? Right? It's really interesting. And I'm not going to tell you why, because, that's our experience. I can tell you from our experience, but basically I want for you listening now to try this method out as a way to learn something, okay? Because I can't tell you what's right. Jeffrey can't tell you what's right. No one can tell you what is correct about the tea, but you can at least borrow a method to change the way that we learn in order to get something new from it. I know that some of you are incredible samplers, like I'm a sampler too. Steven's not. He's the mature guy who's like, let's just get a cake. What are we, 12? Why are we getting a sampler set? And I'm like, no, Steven, I want the 50 tea sampler set with 7 grams each because I want to try all of them. And I love terroir. I love getting to know cultivars. I love elevation. I love new experiences, right? And that's why I do that. And I'm not taking away anything from that. That's really important. And I think if you're sampling, you're probably learning a lot. So keep doing that. All I'm asking is for us to shift just a little bit away from that sampling mentality into, hey, I have this tea. We have 50 grams of it. That's enough for 3 days. Let's see what happens, That's all. So, So yeah, one tea focus. This tea is amazing. This tea is really good. One tea focus from June 1 to June 5. That's this Monday until Friday of next week. I know that it's not very much time, but I'd like for us to focus together and have kind of like a more kind of cohesive group experience. If it's too long, I feel like we might, so-and-so is going to start on this day, and then this day, and this day. During the 5 days, I think most of us will be active at some point. I personally will be doing the 5 days straight, with the same tea probably. I mean, we're thinking about just doing the jade leaves. We'll talk about choosing which tea you'd like to do for the challenge in a bit, but yeah, that's my experience. That's why I'd like for us to do this. Whether or not you agree or disagree, it's 5 days, okay, or 3 days. Just see what you can find out by changing up the routine a little bit. Again, raise of hands, raise of virtual hands. Who has ever done the exact same tea for 3 days before without any other tea? Because the thing is, I've had tea for 3 days straight. I've had tea for like a month straight when I was in Taiwan living with my teacher. Like, we had her tea every day, but we were even drinking different batches. So we would try her spring tea and then her winter tea and then an Alishan Jade Mountain, and then we'd sample like her uncle's tea, neighbor's tea. So even if I was drinking the same tea every day, and by the way, I felt really good. The focus of it is not just to drink the same tea for 3 days, but also because there's no other tea that you're drinking at the same time, you're letting whatever that tea is saying talk to you, and you can't blame anything else, okay? It's just the tea. So of course, you have your daily routine. So, I'm going to have a chicken day. I'm going to have I regret the chicken, so let's just have vegetables, and then we'll have like a dessert day. So your diet might change during those 3 days, but the tea will stay constant. So what you'll get from this is that if you feel good from the tea, if you're really happy, if you're really productive, if you're sleeping well. I bring that up because I actually slept really well when we were drinking this tea for 3 days, and I don't sleep very well. You can attribute it to the tea. The problem is when you have a lot of different teas on the table, we are accomplishing one goal, which is that sampling, that flavor library, taste library, just building our experience, but we're not allowing the tea to do what it wants on its own. And I know I'm talking a lot over this tea, but it's just so abundant. So what happened this morning is that, we were testing out teas to see which one we choose for the challenge. Just seeing if it would hurt us. So this is our personal experience, okay? There are a couple different teas we were wanting to choose for the challenge, and so we were trying them out, and we were having issues, okay? Just like cold, not comfortable, can't focus, just not good feeling. And I'm actually going to drink one of these teas after the jade leaves to see if it affects me, because we were supposed to start at 1 o'clock today, right? Saturday, 1 p.m. But I was so uncomfortable and like just cold and not feeling good that I waited until 2 p.m. And I bring this up because I'm like, it's not something you would notice if you're drinking 2, 3, 4, 5 different teas in a day, yeah? So, yeah, let's slow down and see what you guys had to say, because I'm sure there are wonderful things you guys had to say, as usual. Yeah, so again, we're having the 2019 Jade Leaves from Denong. Not affiliated with Denong, no sponsorships, no nothing. Yeah. Denong's just a company that I like because it feels good. So this is the tea that we're having today. I try to just, I don't take samples from people. I don't tend to want to, because I want to tell you honestly what I feel about something because I like it. So we really like this tea. Delphine's having an unidentified Yongsheng from David's tea. Yeah. Who else is having anything? We're going to have something else in a little bit. We'll switch over. Hide Stock and Yankee Specker. Nice to see you guys from across the pool. Sylvan tea as well. Jeffrey says, haha, true, we can get so caught up in all the different types of tea and miss the subtleties, good or bad, that each tea has to offer. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, we're really good at sampling different teas. I know that because when we did the Pour Love Challenge, you know, between me and Steven, we did like, sorry, Jeremy, but I did more teas than you during the 4-Alarm Challenge, if you included the live streams. We did a lot of tea. I mean, like, we were really sampling. And was it useful to me? Absolutely. It's really good to sample as far and wide as possible. But if you're going to dive deep into a topic, we need to be able to balance both things being correct. It's correct to sample as much as possible, but also it's correct if you can take just a couple days to let the tea kind of do what it wants to. And whether that's the way it tastes over 3 different days, because your body will change, your mood will change, you know, your water might change if you're using tap water, right? Like Mr. like local water district might have like forgotten to change the filter, so the water might be different on day 2 and 3. Your mood, maybe you forget the tea for a little bit. And yeah, that's what I'd like for you to do during those 3 days for sure. So Jeffrey, thank you for that note. He says, to our own experiences are the best form of study. Absolutely. So I can share with you what I have experienced, but I can't tell what you guys are gonna experience either during the 3 days. I'm really excited to see what happens. Of course, I'm biased and hope that something good happens out of your 3 days, but if something bad happens too, that's something you can take and use. Because we'll talk about choosing tea. Please make sure to choose a tea that is not going to murder you after 3 days. Again, that being stuck in the elevator thing. Yeah, there's only a few people in my life who, you know, either they don't murder me or I don't murder them after 3 days in an elevator. We could hang out, but, you know, please God, let this elevator open. Got Tama Bruhaha is here, Tyler from Hakuna Matala, my friend Leuven, Michael. I mean, you're all my friends, but it's funny when I see my high school friends pop in, and they're like, that nerd, she used to bring Earl Grey to junior and senior calculus. That's what I would do in high school. I would bring like I'd bring a thermos full of hot water, and then I would bring loose leaf tea, and then one of those little glass gongfu teapots, and I would brew tea in class. I would brew tea in class. So that makes me laugh, because they're all like, oh, Ray, you're such a tea addict. I'm like, it's not an addiction. I just like it a lot. That was in 2010, 2011. So, yeah, it's man. I own it, though. If you're that person, too, if you're the person who brings tea to weird places, you're the bomb. It's good to put tea in places you don't expect, I think. Yeah. So, again, we're having the Jade Leaves, which is now, like, this is probably, like, our 6th or 7th day with it. Not consecutive. We did 3 days on, 1 day off, which was terrible. We went back to going through different teas over 1 day, and we were like, we don't know what's doing this to us, but we feel like shit. So that was a problem. We couldn't identify which tea we had that day that affected us in a bad way. And then we went back to it, and we were like, wow, amazing. And we were starting to crave this tea, and, you know, I slept better on it. We were working the whole time. Yeah, it's great. So in your 3 days, think about choosing a tea that will fit well with your setup. So let's say if you're working from home. I know, Jeremy, you're working from home now. Don't pick a tea that's going to send you to Saturn, please. So your productivity can still, you know, keep up. Or if you don't know which tea fits well with you when you're working, then maybe this is an opportunity to find out. We have some teas that we like that are very relaxing and very calming, but it's almost too relaxing that if we drink it during a work week, we're going to go to La La Land, and that's okay if we were monks and all we had to do was meditate until we reach enlightenment, but we got some work, so we can't drink those teas for 3 days straight. They're great teas, but then, you know, during this process, you'll find out what your tea does, which is really cool, right? Not just the taste, the flavor, the aroma, certainly those things, but what does your tea do? Is it a productive tea? Is it a kind of look into yourself and quietly make you think kind of tea? Is it a you want to call up your friends and party kind of tea? giving that tea 3 days of space to let that happen, yeah, stuff's gonna happen, I promise. Shiloh, welcome to the chat. We're doing all right. Salutations to you. We're having some Denong 2019 Jade Leaves, supposed to be an ancient tree production from Xishuangbanna. I never use the word production. I've been watching Jeffrey on his live stream too much. Yeah. So, again, this morning we were picking our teas and we were just getting kicked in the butt. Yeah. And before anyone asked, did you have any food? Were you feeling okay? We felt good this morning. We played some Bonbon Cakery. I have a little bakery game on my phone that I like to play in the morning. We had some breakfast. We were feeling good, and then the tea changed stuff for us. And I was debating, hey Steven, should we talk about this stuff before the challenge? Because I don't want to affect people and what they find out from the challenge. And I just decided to do so because sometimes it takes someone mentioning something for you to pay attention to it. And by you, I mean me. Everything I say is just something that's been reflected from my journey and what I've learned. So many times I feel like I've just been walking and walking and walking. I don't know where I'm going. And then it just takes someone to tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, Ree, by the way, you should probably go that way. Or, by the way, it's about to rain, here's an umbrella. By the way, it's a rocky road, why don't you change your shoes? And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, it's like a, it's a sand beach and I'm wearing snowshoes, that's what I felt like. So yeah, I'm gonna say and go ahead. Yeah, I think a lot of us will want to try to see what the tea does taste-wise and aroma-wise, but if you can, also see what the tea does to you in terms of your body feeling, okay? As someone who didn't grow up with any kind of body teaching, like my mom's not a yoga teacher, neither is my dad. I don't know who of those two people is more or less likely to be a yoga teacher. No. But yeah, that's a component of the tea too. I'd really like for you to try to think about, just how it feels, And it could be tea, but it could just be the chemicals in the tea, right? Tea has polyphenols, it's got amino acids, it's got all this other stuff that it doesn't have to be attributed to spiritual energy or whatever. If that stuff weirds you out. It doesn't weird me out. There's lots of things about stuff we can't explain. But even just on a molecular level, it's, stuff in the tea that will change from tea to tea. That it just dietarily, if you let the tea speak for itself for 3 days, even if your diet is changing from day to day, you have a high sugar day, you have a high, I don't know, nutrition word, Stephen, high fat day, and then you have you go to Domino's and you have a big pizza with stuffed crust kind of day. Even those 3 days are different, the tea will be the same, and so you'll be able to kind of weather those changes in your body and see what the tea is doing. Please do this. Please do this. I'm asking this because when I talk to you guys, it's like, I wish I could go back to the past and kind of shake myself and say, hey, Ree, what you're doing is good. I have no regrets about what I've done in my time getting here. But every single time someone's guided me just a little bit, they're just like, hey, and I'm like, oh my God, I learned a lot. Yeah, I was such a big sampler. I'm a 7 grams packets, 10 of them kind of girl for a long time. Jeremy says, let's hope the Indian Gushu does not send me to Saturn. Tyler says, any recommendations? Not sure where to start picking at tea for 3 days. So let's talk about that. So you guys have, I wish we did this just a little bit earlier, but you guys have today and tomorrow. So 31st. And if you want to start a little bit later in the challenge, June 1 to 5 is our challenge period. You have a couple days to think about it, or even switch if something is not going correct. Early in the morning, before you even have anything to eat, unless you're the kind of person who needs to eat first thing, just do whatever your routine is, okay? First thing in the morning, try the tea that is your number one candidate for doing this. And Just pragmatically, it's a tea. Hopefully, it's a tea that you can get more of. So if you really like it, you can feel really confident in investing in it in the future. This is why this is, we borrow this from Jeffrey in the pu'er world, where it's a lot of that focus in pu'er is, what do I buy next? What's my next investment? So pu'er is a really good candidate for this. But if there's something you want to pick up more of, or you're trying to get to know it more, take that tea that's your first candidate and drink it first thing in the morning before you have anything else. Because we actually drink tea before we eat, but that's okay with me. And the whole don't drink XYZ on an empty stomach, I personally don't think that's accurate. I think it's not XYZ, it's don't drink bad tea on an empty stomach, because I've been able to drink tea nonstop on a fast and not have any issues whatsoever after selecting the tea correctly. And the thing is, Shoen and Noah from Floating Leaves talk about this. Don't be afraid of your tea. If your tea is going to break, this is their exact words, if your tea is going to break, you need to know where it breaks. If your tea is going to fail you somehow, you might as well know where it's going to fail you. And if your favorite tea is something that makes you feel awful in the morning before you've had anything to eat, you might as well know that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for that to happen. There's no perfect tea. But if you're scared, it's okay. Just drink water afterwards. It's not going to be terrible. You might as well find out that breaking point now so that you can make those decisions later. Because I certainly, I used to sell tea, right? I used to be a wholesaler. I used to sell tea to people who, you would know their brands online, hundreds of clients, and they would trust me to choose teas for them. When I look back now, I'm going to tell you honestly, there are teas that I picked for characteristics that were, for the more obvious things, right? Flavor, aroma, we're cupping the teas, we're, pouring them in boiling water, we're there with the farmer. A lot of things is happening, so we can't really, I never noticed the feeling afterwards. But then once I tried the teas again, whether it was a long time after or over and over again, I was like, hey, wait, this tea feels awful. I don't know why, and this has happened. And I'm not just talking about little, here's a pound and I'm going to sell here. I sold hundreds of pounds of tea and did not understand them as deeply as I wish I did right now. And that's not to say that vendors have to be perfect, but then it's on you to be able to suss that out, right? So back again to picking a tea, pick that tea, think about a tea you might want to buy more of, or you really like it, or you're not sure about it. Especially if you're not sure though, see if it makes you feel okay, even without the ideal. If you're giving a tea too many excuses, it's because I haven't eaten yet, I'm sleepy, I'm tired, I'm not in a good mood, that's why this tea is hitting me the wrong way. Why? Ask why. Why do I have to give the tea excuses when, why? I'm certainly not gonna give.
Just get better tea.
Well, the thing is, I'm not gonna give Steven excuses like that. I can't be oh, I'm cranky, that's why I'm being a bitch to Steven. I'm no. Okay, you're cranky, but you can't be a bitch to Steven, right? I try not to be, Even if I'm having a bad day, I can't be a bitch to you guys. It's it's on me to do a good job. Pick a tea that has some capability of you getting it again, or so there's a couple different approaches to it. You can see how it feels, you can see how it tastes over a certain number of days. I will say though, if I can ask, I would like for us to focus on the feeling of the tea rather than the brewing or the changing of variables of the tea, because already by doing it for 3 days in a row, we are doing an experiment. It's you as a variable over 3 days, right? So I'm personally actually going to use just one brewing style for 3 days, for the full 5 days, because Steve and I will do all 5 days. If you'd like to do 5 days, so be it. You don't have to do all 5 days. I ask for 3 at least. But yeah, because it's so interesting. We never got bored of this tea. We didn't want to change the brewing style, and you're able to see how the tea changed from day 1, day 2, day 3. You're able to see more from it. And you're not blaming the water, you're not blaming the teaware, you're not blaming anything else but you and the tea and your boyfriend. No, but mostly me and the tea, you know. If you have never done a lot of experimentation before for teaware or water, or all this like feeling stuff isn't, you know, driving with you, then that's fine. Like, I really would like for you to take this method and make it your own. Yeah, so whatever works for you. We're personally going to use just us as a variable, which is, I think, really interesting, rather than the tea. I think in the future we will do a brewing challenge where we'll more borrow from Shoan and Noah and their prompts to do, 2 weeks with the same tea every day, but you're not changing. You can drink other teas. Their ask is just to brew the same tea once a day for 2 weeks. It's a different approach, you know? I think what this method does the best is isolating what the tea is doing to you, okay? And how it makes you feel. Like, I was happier, I was less anxious, I slept better. You know, there was one day that Steven brewed this really, really late at night, and I'm like, Steven, why did you brew this late? I mean, we're gonna have like a bad time, and you know, it's a shang pour. Kung Fu tea, yes, we're having a 2019 shang, right? Haven't you heard someone say before, oh, young shang, you can't drink young shang, it's gonna be too aggressive. You know, let it age. This is a 2019 young shang from last year, okay? And yes, it's from ancient trees or whatever, so that's making it different. Like Jeffrey has taught us, and you know, from other sources too. You need to verify your facts from different sources, but you know, these older trees will have a different composition, so this is why a young shang is sitting well with us. But we've also had other old shang that feels terrible, so it's not just this. It's not just that. It's more than that, for sure. So, you know, I think we might do the jade leaves for Tyler and Jeremy, who are thinking about choosing. If it's something that you feel might knock you out, maybe just try it tomorrow to see what it does to you for a day, and then switch out if it's not making you feel well. I know it sounds crazy to talk about tea, not feeling well, but here's the thing. Is it possible for 100% of our teas to be better than average in the market? So let's say there's 100 teas, and we all like them, right? Like, we're like, oh, they're all great. Because, of course, the vendor is like, oh, this is the best tea in the world, best tea ever, we're the best pour ever, best green tea, best ever. It's impossible. There's always going to be this, like, curve of, you know, horrible, okay, average, above average, and great. But because, you know, because we have this market where the vendors are very confident, and I used to be a vendor, so I felt that way. Did I know the tea was kind of iffy? No, I didn't. Did I think that there are better teas than that tea? Absolutely. But because of the way that different people will choose their tea, you know, all of our vendors have confidence. No one is trying to trick anyone. No one's trying to pull the rug out of, you know, below anyone. All we can do is just arm ourselves with the information and the ability to suss out if something is bad. And yes, there is bad tea out there. Okay? Yes, one of us in this challenge will pick a bad tea. It's impossible for that not to happen. If there's 20 of us who do it, there's going to be one person who picks a bad tea. And, you know, it's not someone else's bad tea. It's not someone else's bad pour. You have a bad tea right now that you don't know is bad. I have a bad tea right now that I don't know is bad. Okay, like we have a lot. We have a lot of really bad tea that either I don't know is bad or I just found out it's bad. You know, and in doing this 3 days with the jade leaves, I was able to pick up on it a lot better because of it. Yeah,
you might find out your favorite tea is hurting you.
Yeah,
from this challenge.
I'm going to tell you something, you know, really candid too. I love my teacher, right? I love Nai Nai, and between the two of them, they have 130 years combined of tea making experience. That's some shit, okay? So, for those of you who don't know, I owe a lot of my tea practice to a lot of people, but especially to my tea family in Taiwan. I'm not related to them, but they treat me like family, and I don't deserve it, but they do, so that's what family is, right? And they're amazing, okay? I think a lot of you had tried their teas. They have the Jade Mountain and Ali Shana Tea and Whisk. If you guys have won a challenge, we probably sent it to you because we just love their tea so much. They're so abundant teas, such abundant people. There's a tea from them I don't like because I don't think it's good. And it took someone else pointing out that it didn't make them feel good for me to verify that, yes, actually, this particular batch from these amazing, lovely people from whom I've loved every single tea, they had a batch of tea I didn't like. And it was, we try to figure it out, and, it was attached to just the way that the tea was cultivated, or I can't know for sure. I suspect that it's because that particular batch had a lot of nitrogen fertilizer that was applied to it. This was something, I'm going to call him out, or not call him out, but credit him, Matt from Mountain Stream Teas, who that guy is drinking a lot of really clean tea, He lives in Taiwan. He focuses on agrochemical-free tea. And I brought this tea to him, and we tasted it. And we were like, hey, it feels weird. We had like a lineup of 10 teas, and he put my tea at the very end for my family. And it was a new batch that I had just come back from processing with them the previous day. So I was like really excited about it. I was involved. I was there. All the pictures that you guys might have seen during that time, this was actually the tea, okay? So I was really excited about this tea. But actually, the first time I tried it, I felt bad. And my tea family said, oh, you just must be tired or something, right? I'm like, it must be. I've never had a bad batch from them. What's the problem? And then I went to see Matt again. I think that was the first time I met him. So he had some balls, The first time I met him, and he was like, oh, let's just put your tea in. We're evaluating 2020 teas. And out of the 11 teas we had, 10 plus mine, it was only when we drank the tea that I had brought, that specific batch, that the three of us, me, Matt, and his friend, who's extremely knowledgeable about good tea, we were like, heart pounding, heart pounding, heart pounding. How is that possible? I've never met this guy. I've never met his friend. They've never met me. But we had the same experience, okay? That's the kind of thing that I can't tell you is right. But how is it possible that three people who've never met before, who've never had this same tea before, had the same experience? It's just, the body feeling of tea, it's something that's seen as less objective and more subjective. But from what I've seen, if you have people who practice this enough, they'll actually be able to pinpoint the same issues with the same teas. So, it might take a while, and everyone's different. We all have different body types. This goes back to traditional Chinese medicine. I don't know much about it, but I've spoken to a lot of people to try to understand what this is doing. And we all have different body types, which is why some people gravitate to one thing or another, and, but at the end of the day, there's good tea and there's bad tea. And I really believe this method will help you much faster than me understand what that good tea is and identify it, and then understand what bad tea is and then identify it before it hurts you, okay? Because this shit hurts. It can really hurt. I'm not kidding. It's ouch, my heart. And so Matt says, I like it. It's really clean, but it just has this kind of chest pressure. And for the record, I don't have that tea. They sell that tea in Taiwan. And compared to a lot of teas in Taiwan, by the way, not to say anything about my tea family, that tea is very good. Just Matt's standards are here, and the market's here, okay? So that tea was here, and usually the tea is over here. So just one dial down, but we could feel it. So the tea right before that harvest, the winter harvest Dongpian, I actually took to the tea competition, and I always talk about that tea, but you notice I'll never talk about the spring 2019 harvest because I don't like it, because it doesn't make me feel good. And I want you to have this confidence that even in the face of your tea master, even in the face of me, in the face of someone Shoen Noah, Jeffrey, Sohan, Steven, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, Dawn from Mayleaf, or the big names, Scott from Yunnan Sourcing, everyone that you respect and know in tea, I want you to have that confidence. Shiloh, that guy knows a lot. August, all of you. In the face of all these people, I want you to have the confidence that even if all these amazing people are in one room, you can say that you don't like a tea because it doesn't make you feel good. But also be open that you could be wrong, right? Both things have to be right. You have to accept that you might be wrong, but you also have to have the confidence that you might be right. Those things have to exist. And I know it's not very easy. And it's I wish I could give a better, more easy thing. Always listen, or always think you're right, or always be confident, or always be humble. But they have to be both there. They have to be both there. So, you know, it's all about balance. I want you, yeah, you guys got this, right? You know, me and Steven were like even later than our 2 o'clock because we were talking about how to talk about this, and all I can say is this is what I felt, this is what I've experienced, and I want you to just be better than me. That's all. And if someone told me this a little bit earlier, I would have learned something earlier. If Jeffrey was not there to share his experience in the humble way he did at that moment in April, we wouldn't have been here, right? It's really crazy. So take this method, do whatever you want with it. If something is not making sense for me, fuck that girl, okay? Like, who cares? Just try it, all right? Now, what I'm gonna do before we sign off is I'm gonna ask you guys how you're doing. If you have any questions, it's a lot. I wasn't really sure how you're gonna go about this, but I hope this kind of makes some sense, you know? And I have a lot of faith in you guys. I think you can do this challenge. I think you'll learn a lot. I think you'll teach me some stuff. You know, T Curious, I remember when I was starting out this project, I'm like, not only am I excited to share what I know, but I'm excited to share hear what other people know too, because we learned so much together. You know, the Chachi challenge was so illuminating. I had so many amazing, I had such a good time reading all your stories and all your approaches. We learned so much from you guys. So, you know, take this method for yourself, make the challenge what you want it to be, for sure. Yeah. So any questions, let me know. I'm going to brew this tea that we don't like, that ruined our morning a little bit. It didn't ruin our morning, but it hurt. It hurt. And I'm going to see what happens after having drunk the jade leaves. So this is almost like what I think might happen after you've had the same tea for 3 days. Once you return to the tea that's either much better or much worse, something happens, okay? And if it doesn't, no worries, like, we're all different, so experiences will vary. Yeah. Gabby, I didn't say hi to you yet. Hello. August, nice to see you too. Living Tea, Kung Fu Tea, Paparoncini, Sonia Ferrer Pear, Tessico. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. In all of this, I would really like, not just for us to, you know, explore this, one more ask. Can you please discuss in the Discord? Because something I noticed from the Chachi challenge is that while we reach a lot of people on Instagram, we're able to dive just a little bit deeper on Discord. So if you don't have the time to post on Discord, no worries. Absolutely no problem. I totally understand. It's a lot. But the Discord is something we kind of created to be a more kind of ongoing, fluid space where you don't have to push a button and post to your stories to discuss something. There's something a little bit scary about that. When you post something on your stories, it's very permanent. It's very like, this is a permanent concept, especially for posts, right? But Discord is a little bit more like subjective. Our opinions can change. You can ask people questions. It's not a set in stone thing. So if you will, you know, again, join our challenge. It's a 1T focus challenge. So 1T focus. Maybe we can use this term to talk about this in the future if we ever do it again. It's the act of just drinking 1 tea for X amount of days, at least 3, to see how it feels or how it tastes different from day to day. So join us for the challenge, and also if you can, share what you experience in Discord. If you're like, Ree is full of hot air and I feel nothing, then I need you to tell me, because if you don't tell me, I don't have that data in my head to say there's people who don't feel it. Our friend Christine is an amazing tea taster and feels tea energy. Her fiance too is a good amazing taster, has really good taste, but he can't feel shit. He feels nothing. We throw like the most like Mother Bush dance song, ancient tree puer, you know, like the most chachi teas, and he's like, cool. And we're all like, oh my god. You know, and we need that data. My friend Jeffrey Norman from Steve Stories, Lazy Literatus, he used to not feel chachi, but here's a secret. He does now. Okay, he does now. He used to be one of those people, don't tell Jeffrey, or tell Jeffrey, he'll probably get a kick out of it. He used to be one of those people I use as the example, as someone who can't feel chachi. He's like, I just don't get it. And then now he does. I saw him at World Tea Expo 2 years ago. He's like, oh, actually, I do now. I'm like, hold the phone. It's almost like someone being like straight and now they're gay. That's how like, you know, he's like, I don't feel chachi. I don't like men, you know, like. And he came to me. He was like, actually, I feel it now. I'm like, wow. But do share. And if, you know, your approach is to do feeling or aroma, texture, experimentation, share. The more that you do, the more we all benefit. And if someone's feeling a little bit like, hey, what I'm feeling isn't really correct, or it's not valid because no one else is feeling it, all these people are feeling all these amazing things or horrible things, I don't get it, then share your experience so that person who isn't feeling it can feel it too, because it just might be that the tea doesn't affect them that way, and that's also, it can be a good thing, because then you can drink whatever you want. Or drive your, you know, tea drunk fiance home. That's what Alex is. Oh my god. Okay, so we're gonna brew this tea. And yeah, so I feel really comfortable in the jade leaves that we've been drinking so far. I'm switching teas now to a different sheng pu'er, which is supposed to be a good one too. I'm not gonna tell you where it's from, who it's from, what it is, because this tea exists in your collection right now, okay? I'm telling you. I have like at least 20 of these teas. Like, nameless teas that are like crouching tiger hidden, like they're like good things about them, but they hurt, you know? And I've always been able to kind of suss out the feeling of a tea, but in doing this method lately, it's been even worse, or even better, I guess. Yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to brew this tea, and I'm going to drink it to see what happens, because right now I feel very comfortable. I think I'm drinking this... I chose the jade leaves because I knew I'd have to talk about all these complicated concepts. And I even asked Steven, you know, I had these two teas from the very beginning, which one do I drink first? And we're like, it's got to be the jade leaves, because if not, this tea is going to derail you. Yeah, Tyler says, I totally get it. The sheng I had last night would turn me into a zombie for 3 days. You know, yeah, I totally get that. And it sounds really strange to talk about tea, because like it's just tea, right? Like tea is healthy and stuff, but right? Kung Fu tea, yes, it's one kind of tea for 3 days. You're welcome to do more than 3, but at least 3, okay? Okay, so, wow. So we're switching from the jade leaves Denong to, let's call this, okay, this is the TTYH tea. This is the tea you have, okay? The tea I have. Yeah, it feels different. Oh my god. Yep. It tastes different, but the jade leaves, when I drink it, it goes down and it merges with me. It's like a blanket. It's like there with you. This tea, yeah, it's like I'm already feeling like I can't say things as well. I know it's happening very fast. It's weird, right? I don't understand why. And I'd like to know why this happens so quickly for me. But I can literally go from one tea to another and I will change the way my body changes so quickly. I don't understand why. I try to dig into the scientific explanations. Like, am I possibly digesting this tea fast enough that it affects me this quickly? But it really does. Like, vision is feeling weird. I'm suddenly hearing my voice for the first time after an hour of talking. And here's the thing. This is a tea that I did not go into expecting this would do this to me. This is not a tea that is made by someone who I don't like. This is not a tea that I'm paid to, like, trash on. Denong tea? I mean, Denong tea is great, but there's teas from Denong tea I don't like either. Steven, my voice is echoing in the room right now. Are you kidding me? I just, like, I know this is weird, but we're like, okay, we'll just do this because it's just weird. Yeah, and then my hands are getting cold and clammy, and yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Yikes. Kung Fu Tea. So what the challenge name? The challenge is called the One Tea Focus Challenge.
I think hashtag One Tea Focus is open, by the way.
Yeah, so we'll just call it the hashtag One Tea Focus. And yeah, we came up with that name because if something has a name, it's easier to talk about it. So in the future, if you'd like to use this method again, you can use the word One Tea Focus. So you'll be like, hey, Joni, remember the One Tea Focus we did back in June? We're going to do another One Tea Focus for 5 days with this one tea again. It's going to be a little bit easier to talk about. So we just picked a name. It's never existed before. I just came up with it so we can talk about it. Kind of a big issue in our community, I think, is like we don't know what we're saying sometimes because we're like, I don't know, flowery. It's like, what's flowery? Or like puffy. What's puffy? Or aftertaste. Is it like the throat aftertaste or the palate or the nose aftertaste? So I am really cold, Steven.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I do this actually in classes where I will drink a tea that I know makes me feel uncomfortable, and then I will touch someone in my hands. And my hands are they're like ice cubes right now. I wish you guys could just be here. They're like ice. I wish you touched me during the jade leaves, Stephen, but I was fine. Mm-hmm. And my body's reacting, and I feel cold, and just not feeling that focused, and I can hear my voice. Yikes. Yeah, it's just not feeling very good to me, this tea. And actually, this tea is not that bad, because it actually feels good in the stomach. For those of you, especially who follow Floating Leaves, Sean and Noel talk about the tea going down to the stomach. This tea does go down to the stomach, but elsewhere it feels not very good. So, I feel like my heart's racing, I feel like I'm not breathing as deeply. And that's the thing, there's so many different psychological variables that could be going on right now. It could be that I'm using 2 different gaiwans, it could be I had the jade leaves first and then this tea. But this is why I asked you to try the tea you're trying to pick first thing in the morning. We had this tea during breakfast with food, normal routine, first thing in the morning, before the jade leaves. And it didn't drive with us the right way. So, yeah. At least I'm not yawning. Earlier I was just we were having this tea and I was yawning and my eyes were watering, and I think it's going to start happening after the live, I'm so sure. So yeah, questions, concerns, comments, experiences, anything else? Tyler says that he had a shang that made him feel like a zombie, or might make him feel like a zombie for 3 days. Yeah. Kung Fu Tea, yes, it's going to be hashtag One Tea Focus. If you would like to post about it on Instagram, please go ahead if that's what you would focus on. If you have the bandwidth, please do join us in the Discord. The link is on the profile. The Discord is something we set up because I learned a lot better with people to talk to and not in a formal environment. Meaning, if we talk to each other through blog posts that we send each other, and I would cite the blog posts, have the research, The Discord, if you're not sure about what you're feeling, you can openly talk about it and say, I'm feeling this, but I'm not sure. If it's the tea or because I had some canes, that's fine. And I think it's this kind of discourse that's a lot more useful for learning about tea, because it's how I learned about tea. It's being in the right place at the right time with the right people,
Active conversation.
Yeah, it just so happened.
Much more productive.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys have seen this if you've ever had any kind of tea meetup, have been at a tea house, exchanged tea with someone, if you've been to the tea farms. The stuff that you learn about isn't so much in a book or, a blog post. It's in the, hey, how'd you feel about this tea? You like it? You like it? Dislike it? How do you feel? What are your favorite vendors, etc.? So that's why we recommend a Discord. I'm getting derailed by this tea a little bit.
Is it
so
enjoyable?
cold. The thing is, it tastes good.
Do you want to differentiate between enjoyable tea energy versus harmful tea energy?
Yeah, so...
In 5 minutes.
I know, so... Here's one more thing. Tea energy and tea drunk, I believe, are 2 different things. You need to verify this for yourself, but someone else who says this too is Noan Shoen from Floating Leaves. and a couple other people. I actually don't like the word tea drunk to describe a tea that I like, because drunk has this like negative connotation. You don't want to be drunk and drive home, right? Like, and there's certainly, there's something good about, gosh, my train of thought is just derailing.
That's a whole nother hour topic.
I
Actually.
know. No, but I'm just slowing down, and I'm like getting self-conscious. And yeah, Steven and I planned for this to happen because this is really what I feel from this tea. I don't feel focused, I don't feel confident, I don't feel eloquent. And tea drunk and tea energy. Tea drunk, there are so many teas that will affect you, and that's tea drunk, right?
Chatsui.
Chatsui, yeah.
Different
they call
words
it
for it.
chatsui. And in
Yeah.
Chinese, it's a different word. But, when you're chatsui, just from what I've seen with the people I've experienced tea with in Taiwan, if you say, you're chatsui, it's not supposed to be a good thing. It's supposed to be like, oh, go eat something, go drink some water, or do something else.
It's bad.
It's bad.
The tea is bad.
See, my nose is running now. And, wow, it's so difficult to focus on this tea. It just, I can't make this up, okay? I'm so bad at acting that during my college years, I was given Best Improved by my acting teacher in sophomore year because I was so bad. And I remember my first monologue. He gave everyone such like detailed advice, like, oh, open your mouth more, project, move your body. His advice to me was, you need to move your face. You need to pretend you're a different person. Because I was so bad. And yeah, this tea is just, I just don't feel good. So what I'm trying to say is differentiate tea drunk from tea energy. A tea that makes you not yourself, like too different from yourself, or you're like, zoning out and you couldn't drive home. There are teas I couldn't drive home, and people are like, that's insane. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you might think it's insane, but I'm not going to jeopardize you by putting you in my car right now. And there's tea energy, which is the way that, the energy that
Like focus.
you focus,
Mental clarity.
it fits in with you. Different people need different things. Some of us are more anxious, some of us are more like hot or cold.
Very relaxing.
Temperamental people might like something else. You see how like my speech is just getting derailed right now. It's really funny. I'm really cold. Yeah. So differentiate between those two things. I think you guys got this. Ideas for what you guys might pick for the challenge, let us know. Joni, this is a 1T focus challenge. Get used to Discord and sharing challenge for me. Yeah, if you guys are going to be new to the Discord, don't take it as a forum. It's not meant to be easy to search, because you can't search the conversations, right? Like, there are so many conversations I wish I could share with you that I've had with people, but you wouldn't know unless you were there. This is my way, not so much of documenting every single little thing that I'd like for you to be exposed to. But if you have the time, go there and you will learn something, especially if you try to like put forth your own knowledge and put forth your own experience. Like you can't, there's no forum or search, like there's no archive of all the conversation I've ever had with our tea family in Taiwan, but if you were there, if only, so Discord is that platform. So if you hop on and there's a billion messages, don't worry. Just know that it's just the way in the tea world. There's a billion conversations happening that if you were there, you would have learned a lot, but then you weren't there. So don't worry about it. Yeah. And if it doesn't work for you, no worries. Just try it out. Yeah. Kung Fu tea. What's the name of Lao Cha Gui? I have no idea. Lao Cha Gui? Oh, Lao Cha is old tea. I have no idea what that is. If we're talking about cha tsui, then it's tea drunk. But I don't know the term lao cha gui. What I do know is that I feel really zony on this tea and not that focused and not that warm. I feel cold. My nose is running. And the more that I drink, the more I have this pressure building on my chest that just doesn't feel good to me. Whew. So we went through a lot today. So thank you for joining us and discussing all of this stuff. I know we went through a lot. I appreciate that you're here for us, to talk about all this stuff. But yes, so go onto the Discord, to discuss. The challenge will be posted on Instagram as well. If you missed this, the replay is going to be there, okay, on Instagram TV, IGTV, all right? But thank you. It was so nice to hang out with you guys today, and we'll see you during the challenge. Bye. Questions, let us know, okay? Just DM us.